What the heck is going on in Scape and Run? I was so fascinated by this disease, I simply had to make a video on it. I should begin by saying I am not an epidemiologist, and the only people that truly know the lore of the Scape and Run parasites are the creator of Scape and Run parasites. I say this because any fan of the mod will tell you the creators are almost radio silent on what the origin of the lore of the parasites is. Not anymore! I've channeled my inner game theory, and I think I actually have a really good explanation. Is it perfect? No, of course not. But I think I really have a lot of things right here. Today, I'm going to talk about what I think the origin of the parasites are, accompanied by real-life examples of how parasites behave to support my point. Question 1. Did it come from Earth or outer space? I actually think this is the easiest question. First, I want to talk about the little insect that starts the plague, the buglin. This little guy is basically the only hint we get, and is basically the entire forefront of my theory. Buglins, silverfish, and endermites all share the same model and animation. And I don't think this is the mod authors being lazy. I think they did this on purpose. I think the bug brothers all share a common extinct ancestor, and these little guys are the evolved descendants, the buglins included. We know for a fact that buglins and the other two bug brothers share some similarities. Have you ever noticed that Scape and Run has no assimilated mobs for nether creatures? I mean, we have assimilated ender dragons and endermen, but nothing for the nether? Not even an assimilated zombie pigman? No. The best these parasites can do is make an incomplete form. It's obviously not used to the biology of nether creatures. Versus overworld and end creatures, the parasite can infect them flawlessly. I think that's a very interesting correlation on how endermites and silverfish don't spawn in the nether either. But you know where silverfish and endermite do spawn? The end and the overworld. And where are the Scape and Run parasites eminent? The end and the overworld. I firmly believe this is basically proven because buglins, and all parasites for that matter, sport a weakness to fire, showing that they really are not from the nether, just like silverfish and endermites. So this leads me to believe that the buglin and parasites are not actually an invasive species from space, but actually do come from the Minecraft overworld, then infected the end later on. Do you have your thinking caps on? I'm about to take it to the next level. Question 2. How does the parasite work? Isn't it weird that the parasite can infect iron golems? I mean, literal machines? I thought it was just another way the mod authors wanted to make this mod unfair and difficult, but then I noticed something. Hijacked. The iron golem isn't infected, it's hijacked. At first, this confused me a lot. How does a simple parasite manage to hijack a machine? Then it came to me. I think the hijacked golem is the piece to understanding how the parasites work. It's obvious, Floofy, I hear you say. The mobs are assimilated. This mod is most likely inspired from The Thing, where the monster infects cells and adds it to his own. But I don't think that's what's going on here. Now, don't get me wrong, it is not my place to tell the mod authors what is and isn't, but I don't actually think these mobs are assimilated. My theory is the mobs are still totally alive and even sentient, and that the parasite's body uses electrical signals to force their host to act and move in the way they want them to, similar to real-life parasites like toxoplasma, hairworms, and even a species of wasps called parasitoid wasps. In fact, I think the host is only killed whenever the parasite melts them down to moving flesh in order to make a stronger monster. I think this assimilated name tag is only a red herring by the mod authors. After all, how the heck would Steve know what the scientific definition between assimilated and infected is? He most likely saw these monsters and thought of the first word that came to his mind. This creature was invaded, is now getting controlled from the outside. It's assimilated. Think about it. How else can you explain how the parasite is able to control both machines and living things? I think the parasite's bodies can carry electrical signals, and the parasite uses them to control the host while still keeping the host alive. This would explain why all this assimilated mobs still need to breathe. It's because they're still alive. This would also explain that why you sometimes kill an assimilated mob, it sometimes explodes into a bunch of buglins. The parasite wants to keep its host alive, or else rigor mortis will make piloting their host impossible. Thus, the parasite keeps the host alive until the parasites decide to merge into a stronger creature, where it then kills its host and mangles them up into moving flesh. Okay, Floofy, how do you explain the beckons then? How on earth is this thing native to Steve's planet when something as strange as the beckons exist? I hear you say. I think I'm going to lose a lot of you with this one, but I think this is the parasite's true form. Honestly, this is where my theory starts to fall off because honestly, the beckons and end game parasites are so insane and off the wall, you'd be a fool to try and make sense of it. I'm going to take trying to explain beckons and endgame parasites with baby steps. At the very least, we know the beckon is a sentient parasite. It is not a plant. We know this because beckons can summon ruptors, so we can safely rule out this thing being anything else but a gigantic parasite. Except beckons aren't interested in infecting you. Beckons are a parasite to the environment, as their job is to infect blocks and make the parasite biome. We know all of this infection is linked back to the beacon because once you kill the beacon, the infected blocks go back to normal. Hang on, Floofy, you say. This isn't correct. Did you forget about the ancient parasites Dreadnought and Overlord? How can this parasite only have come around recently, according to your theory, if these mobs are called ancient? To that I say, again, how the heck would Steve know what is ancient and what isn't? Scape and Run doesn't add any structures, blocks, or any in-game lore that would suggest these things are actually ancient entities. In fact, the same thing I said earlier most likely applies here. Steve saw these eldritch beings and automatically assumed them to be ancient. Well, Floofy, if this is all correct, how do you explain dispatchers? Now, this is a complete fan theory, and I just want to get fun here, but I firmly believe that male buglins grow up to be dispatchers, and female buglins grow up to be beacons. Why do I say this? Because beacons can spawn more ruptors, giving birth in a way, versus dispatchers who only hold already existing parasites into a bank before summoning them at will. It would also make sense that beckons are just grown-up buglins because they give birth to ruptors, which come from buglins. Is this true? Probably not, but I honestly love this mini theory, and it would help to explain just where the heck the dispatchers and beckons come from. Alright, is that all? Nope, that's right, I forgot to talk about the end. It's my belief that in the timeline, the infection started shortly before you enter the world. The ancient builders entered the end, with silverfish and buglins joining them when they entered the end portal. The silverfish evolved into endermites, and the buglins began making a rampage of the end. This would explain why the end is already heavily infected by the time you get there. It explains why there are ender dragons already infected on the end outer islands. Phew. Alright, is that all? I actually think that's all. Again, I most likely got so many things wrong, but I honestly really liked making this little fan theory. Theories are really not my thing, but I really felt the creative juice on this one. I hope you all liked this episode. I'll see y'all soon. Bye now. Oh, by the way, Infection Spore Gang for life. Hey!